What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York, calling from the quarantine zone again. Hope you all are doing okay. And this time we got Skoll of the almighty Nachtblut. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here. I was just listening to the new album, Vanitas. Absolutely beautiful. Do you just want to talk about like how the making of this record was in terms of the songwriting and recording and all that fun stuff?
Well, regarding the songwriting, I would say, in Germany we say we became a well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm.
So over the years, everyone knows his role, and it was pretty smooth. Actually, also the recording went pretty smooth. I would call it a positive routine, if you like. We choose the same studio and the same team to record with, as we did on our previous record, Apostasy. Actually, it was then at the Chameleon Studios in Hamburg, and Chris Harms as a producer, and really lovely team around this. And we knew what we get, we knew how it works, and so we could really focus on the songs, we didn't have to think about the new surrounding, how does things work with certain kind of people, and so it was pretty smooth, pretty good.
Was there a preconceived idea on how you wanted this album to sound? Were you trying to just make a direct continuation of Apostasy, or were you trying to maybe do something that Nachtblut has never really done before?
We wanted to do it like with Apostasy. Apostasy was the first record which wasn't like a classical conceptual record for us. It just felt relieving to put out 10 songs we like, It didn't matter if the theme, the issue, or the sound was really, around one issue, one theme. And it felt really good. So we thought, we would continue like this and see what happens. And, there we go with Vanitas. But it's a bit different regarding that. We realized after those songs, or the songs we liked the most were written, they have something in common, and it was the Vanitas theme.
Mm-hmm. Do you sometimes think of a concept before you start writing the music, and that could help dictate the direction of the sound?
Yes, we did. We did several times. I'm sorry. We did several times, and of course, if you do a conceptual record, then you're not limiting yourself, but of course you can just move within a certain frame of a theme, or maybe even of a sound this record should have. But as I said, this wasn't really the case for Vanitas this time.
Yeah, it was like a little bit more liberating to tackle many different subjects.
Definitely, yeah.
Yep. Could the first two singles that you released off of this album maybe serve as a clear representation of the whole sound, if you will?
No, they're part of it, but they are not representing the whole record. And when we also already put out the Meine Grausamkeit can keinen Grenzen, people would realize that the new record wouldn't be just like the first two singles. For me, Vanitas is offering a lot of facets, a lot of variety, and it's hard to pick one or two songs that represent the whole sound of the new record.
Yeah, because I thought that the first two singles that you released, which is, I'm going to butcher the pronunciations of them, so forgive me, but I thought Le Kinder had a very different vibe than a song like Das Poppenhaus. How close was I in saying those?
Pretty close, actually.
Okay. I was actually practicing that the second I got approved for the interview. But, I thought that they had many different vibes. I think it's fair to say that you guys like to experiment with your sound as much as possible, right? You don't try to stick to a formula?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say experimenting. it's we don't sit down and be like, okay, now we need something new, and this time it's gonna be, I don't know, an 80s synthesizer or something. We never cared about labeling, our music. People say we do dark metal. That's totally fine. I adopt that, but we were never fans of it. Like, okay, now we're labeled dark metal, so we're not allowed to do that and that. Like music police coming around the corner and be like, oh no, you can't have synthesizers in it. You can't make a song sounding a bit more like AC/DC than black metal, something like this. So we just do what we like to do.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, because maybe as a fan of Nachtblut, I could tell what would be off of Dogma, or what would be off of Antic, or what would be off of Apostasy, and even Vanitas. So like, I feel like, do you almost like say that that each album kind of like is like a representation of who you and the band are at that particular time? Do you like look at these albums as like a self-portrait?
Yes, I would say so. Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. I feel like because I know that sometimes, I know it wasn't the case for Vanitas, but sometimes there's concepts that drive a Nachtblut album. Do you almost feel that like is there ever a time where maybe your personal experiences also influence the sound as well?
I would say all the time. I mean, even if it's a conceptual record, you obviously that theme is really driving you. Otherwise you wouldn't do a conceptual record about it, or putting 12 songs about one theme out. So no, it's always also personal. It doesn't matter if it's conceptual or not. I mean, some songs are more personal than others, definitely. I mean, if we stick to Vanitas, we have like Die Toten vergessen nicht, which means like the dead never forget, and that's a really, really personal song out of personal experience. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, the music is open to interpretation too, right? Or do you try to maybe engage the listener into the story as well? It's depending. Sometimes a little push, like how we mean the lyrics, what they're supposed to tell. But I'm not a big fan of spoiling everything. Also, with all the hints and details we always have on a record, I don't like to unveil it. If a listener, I don't know, maybe listen to a song several times and then he discovers like, oh, okay, there's this and this, and that relates to that and that. That's cool for me, and also for me as a fan of other bands. I like that, if I can, discover little things for myself and not, point it with a nose to it. Like, yeah, and being that you drum for the band, like, do you sometimes have a whole drum pattern laid down before the music comes over it, or do you need the music before like the instrumentation for your side comes into play?
Usually it's that the music is already there, and then the drum pattern. That's how it is. Almost all the songs are written by Oscar Roth, and so he's preparing demos, and then I come up, like with beats, and this is how everything comes together then.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta ask, when you first get the demos, or you first get the raw material, does it sound completely off time until you start laying down the drums? You could tell me.
Really depending on the song. I mean, usually Oscar have a really good feel and vibe, what is cool for the song, but sometimes it's little details to change. Sometimes it's fills. Sometimes it's the whole beat. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of everything about it. Like, I can't really tell. Like, there's so many songs over the years that from everything, from little details to whole beats, can be changed.
Yeah, because I've always thought that drums, the famous saying, if your drummer sucks, your band sucks. So I've always thought that drums are like the glue or the armature really behind the whole song, and I find it so hard to believe that that more times than not, that drums are sometimes the last thing to come into place.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a musician's thing that often the drummer is a bit like, he's a guy who's hanging around with musicians. But I see it too. Like, you can destroy a song with drums. Like you have this really beautiful ballad, and people, well, some drummers don't get it and just blasting, and I don't know what they're doing there actually, but they're ruining the song. So you have to be really tasteful in what you play. But yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Now, being that, you all go by these, aliases in Nachtblut, from Skull to Grief to Ablaze, like, and I ask a lot of bands that kind of go by these pseudonyms, do you almost feel like that you portray a character in a way in Nachtblut?
Not at all. It's more like an expand of our personality, a part of our personality. The whole thing, like when we go on stage, putting on the outfit, putting on the makeup or corpse paint, whatever you want to call it, it's a bit like when we play the show then, it's still us, and it's just, but to forget all the rest, like you don't have to deal with everyday stuff, that occur to you. And as we do extreme music, also average names wouldn't fit, would be a bit strange too.
Yeah, well, so it's basically just expressing a side of yourself that maybe people wouldn't see otherwise, right?
Maybe people would see, but of course, like concert or live show is like a special moment, definitely.
Yep, and we all miss them so much in the wake of everything happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's funny too, because when you go to record the music, or you're rehearsing together, or you're even songwriting, do you almost kind of have to put yourself in that same mindset as when you're playing live?
It's a bit different. Yes, you have to put yourself or your mindset, but a live show is for the moment. You can't repeat it the same way it has been that very night. But in the studio, you think about a lot of details. It's a bit more work, You know that this will be out there for forever. The internet never forgets. So it's a bit different situation there. Yes, you wanna have the same moment, that same feel, but on the other hand, you have to think a bit more about what you're doing, being a bit more aware.
Yeah, it's funny too, because like some people say that the live show is more dictating, because again, people won't forget, there's no room for trial and error. But some people also say that the live show is more liberating, because there is that room for experimentation and going outside the record a little bit.
Yeah, I would say it's more liberating, a live show. I mean, even if a mistake is happening, I don't know, maybe something happens. That's how it is. That's the live moment, On a record, you can't have that. You have to work over again. And also live, if I feel like to play a feel a bit different than on the record that very evening, and just that very evening, then otherwise I would play it all the time the same as in studio. That's how it is. That's the very moment, So it's more liberating.
Yeah, because some people say that the studio is like the most dictating and and sometimes a very stressful environment to be in. It almost seems like that going on stage is playing this new material and almost relieving all the stress that was obtained in the studio.
Yes, I would agree on that. Of course, for us with the great team at the Chameleon Studios, it's not that stressful, Of course, there's a certain kind of pressure, but it's not stressing the hell out of me,
Yeah. And kind of going back to what we were talking about on who you portray on stage and stuff like that, if a fan really wanted to get to know who Skull is and, you know, who the rest of the members are, do you feel that, like, the music is the best representation for a fan to get to know you guys?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's an expression of ourselves. But we're four individuals. Sorry. Four individuals. So the music is just like a melting pot of all characteristics. Everyone has also other facets. You know, like if you would meet Ablas after the show, probably it's a bit different than meeting me or meeting Askarot.
Do you think maybe if like a diehard Nachtblut fan were to listen to the songs each and individual, they'd be able to know like which song came from who?
Yeah, they're probably gonna be hearing that it's written by Askarot because he's doing almost all the songs. So it's maybe they will be able to think about which part, you know, maybe which riff was overworked by Greif, or which fill I added, which wasn't there before. Maybe that, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And the final question I wanted to ask you is really, how do you know when a song is done? Like, at what point do you guys like reach a level of satisfaction to say that this song is complete? Is there like a pinnacle moment where you know that a song is finished?
For me, a song is finished if it's enjoyable, you know, if it's entertaining, or it causes emotions. Then I would say it's a good song and it's finished. But on the other hand, you know, like listening to the records, even at that very moment, you're satisfied, you're happy with it. Usually later, you're listening to it again, and then you're like, oh, maybe I could have done that and that, you know, instead of. But that doesn't diminish the song, you know, or the satisfaction about the song.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd imagine that you looked back at earlier material and sometimes wishing that you did this or wishing that you've done that, right?
Of course, like, it doesn't matter regarding songwriting, sound of the record or whatsoever. But it's how it is, you know. We're happy at that very moment. It's and it made us who we are, you know. Why change it? That's how it is. I think it's naturally like.
Yeah, you want. I think with an entire band's catalog, you want to demonstrate a form of evolution.
Sorry.
With each record that you make, you want to demonstrate evolution.
Not on purpose. Let's put it this way. We never sit down and thinking about, okay, now we have to do that and that. It's a natural evolution, if you would say so. And usually you're so close to the project that, at least for me, I don't. At the very moment the record is out, I don't see that evolution. I won't be like, oh yeah, okay, now we did everything different and we developed here and this and whatsoever. Usually that comes after some time, you know, between the release of the record and you come back later. Of course, I see the development and evolution, if you say so, from the past records, but if you would have asked me, or now you would ask me about Vanitas, like what developments are on that, I would be like, yeah, everything came naturally. That's how it is. I don't think about it.
Yeah. Well, art is life, and I've always said that like the artist is pretty much the art's humble guide. And again, art is life. It grows, it develops. You learn more things about it. It learns more things about you. I feel like art really is a form of life that does grow, develop, and can potentially also die if not taken care of in a significant way.
Yeah, that's true. That's totally agree on that.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. great talking with you, and congratulations on another great release. Is there just anything else that you would like to promote for Nachtblut? Like, can we maybe be expecting some live stream performances, or when shows do come back, is there a chance that maybe you could bring Nachtblut to the States?
I hope that there will be normal live shows again. I don't know when. Let's cross fingers. 2021. But yeah, I mean, coming to the States is definitely on our list. But unfortunately, I can't confirm anything yet. So I hope, as last words on the interview, is that people will enjoy our new record and stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Skoll of Nachtblut. Be sure to pick up the new album Vanitas coming out on Napalm Records. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.